Welcome back to the third part of our three-part series. Dr. Locklear here from New Life Academy. And just want to take some time to wrap it up today as we get ready for what is next. But just a quick review. We began our series with the myth of leadership. And in the myth of leadership, we talked about positional power and how positional power sometimes is just not right for everyone. And that leadership has to transcend positional power. The second thing we talked about was leadership and influence. And we're going to wrap it up today with leadership the New Life Academy way. So to recap, we spent some time talking about positional leadership. And that positional leadership evolves around status and rank. And you are a leader because you are told you're a leader and you're put in an organizational spot as a leader. But that does not necessarily make you a good leader. So the second thing we talked about was the idea of situational leadership. And this is where we began having a whole lot of fun around leadership. In situational leadership, it's a very humanistic approach and it's very personalized. And in the situational leadership, we talked about Mr. Orlando, Mr. Ross, and we interviewed Caden. And each circumstance, they talked about the influence they have over people. We talked about Mr. Orlando and Mr. Ross fist bumping every student that comes in that door. And it makes a huge difference in their lives every single day. Basically, they start their day feeling a whole lot better about school, and that's important. We followed up with Caden, and Caden talked about leadership and the fact that anyone can be a leader. And so we felt that was very important. So the series with situational leadership is what we're trying to get at New Life Academy. That everyone can indeed and should be a leader. And we have the beauty of having a Christian perspective that undergirds that leadership perspective. So as we begin doing this, I want to wrap up this whole piece with a story and introduce the next series. I try not to use too many political stories, but this story has stuck with me for a number of years now. But I happened to be at a conference and a person who was fresh out of law school moved into Newark, New Jersey. And they were beginning to look at the whole aspect of leadership and socialization and taking a social approach to that leadership role. And he talked about moving into Newark, and he moved into a tough part of Newark, and he befriended a lot of people in that community. But one of the people that he befriended was a person who was about 75 years old, and it was a woman, and she lived alone, and she lived in Newark, grew up there. And he would swing by at the end of every day and he'd talk to her about, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And he was consistently talking about what he was going to do. And finally, the woman stood up and looked at him and she said, stop talking and just do something. The leadership framework at New Life Academy has to be focused around our students doing something. It doesn't have to be a position that is defined by status or rank, but to do something to make our place, our school, our academy, a more faithful, a stronger place, a better place. That is the essence of leadership. Moving ahead. So you're probably thinking now, you're sitting on the edges of your seat, what's next? Well, anyway. So the next thing we're going to do is look at leading beyond the norm. And this is going to be a fun series because we're going to bring in a lot of students to talk about their experience at New Life Academy. And we're going to bring in both positional and situational leaders. For the first one, we're going to talk to some students about their positional role at New Life Academy, but also situational leadership. And then the second one, we're going to have a lot more fun too because we're going to bring in some elementary students and we're going to talk about how they define and how they view leadership. And the final part of that segment will be we're bringing in an alum from New Life Academy, to be determined. That wraps up the leadership series. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.